It's really difficult to comprehend that only 9 years ago, when we all met at the Tufts Centre in Talloires in France, there were just 29 of us from, I think it was 23 countries, who really were committed, passionate about university engagement, but not sure what would come from that particular meeting. But after 3 intensive days, delightful, enjoyable, intensive days of discussions and work and planning, we decided to form the TN, the Talloires Network, and of course, develop the Talloires Declaration. But again, I think we weren't sure what this would mean. We put the word out to as many of our colleagues and friends as we could, and people started to join up. And today, nearly 10 years later, we have 322 members in 72 countries and growing. And it isn't that size per se is the be-all and end-all, but it says something about the Talloires Network having created a niche where there was none, an opportunity for us to meet, to collaborate, to share ideas, to support each other, and to put the message out that universities are there to serve. Universities are there to make a difference. Universities are there to reduce inequity in our world. And in so many ways, it's really interesting that of all of the functions of universities, university engagement transcends cultures, it transcends nations, it transcends institutional structures, and it transcends disciplines. Every discipline, every student, every staff member, every faculty member can find ways of contributing meaningfully to the community in which they work. So our opportunity over these 3 days is to explore and plot a possible path forward, the next, if you like, the next decade of the network's development, and really to deepen that work, to share ideas, to decide what we can accomplish together and to really go for it. So welcome from the steering committee. And now I'd like to introduce Professor Anthony Monaco, who is the president of Tufts University, our wonderful hosts, without whom this network would not have been as robust as it is, and the incoming chair of the steering committee. So thank you, Tony.
The conference today and through the next 3 days will center around 5 themes. Each of these is an exciting area, but they represent both challenges and opportunities. Really, the work in these areas is very innovative, and I hope during this conference we'll be able to learn a lot about these areas from each other and to also think about new ways to work together in the future. And I encourage you to use the plenary sessions as well as the breakout sessions, which have been lengthened to 45 minutes, so there's plenty of time for networking. The first of these themes centers on youth employment. How can institutions of higher education strengthen how they prepare our students for employment and entrepreneurship? And in particular, how can our community engagement programs develop our students' abilities for both being community leaders and economic leaders? The second theme is on impacts and incentives. How can we achieve the shared goals of greater impacts on community conditions as well as the learning outcomes for our students? And how can we do a better job collectively of assessing the outcomes and measuring the results of this engagement? How can we put in place more effective incentives and rewards for professors and faculty members who do high-quality community-engaged teaching and research? The third area is on student leadership. I'm delighted for the first time the Talloires Network Global Conference includes a sizable delegation of student leaders who you just met. We are looking forward to hearing your strategies and recommendations and exploring how to reinforce student leadership, which can and should play a vital role in the next stage of university civic engagement. The fourth theme is social inclusion. How can we better connect and support initiatives to improve access to higher education for underrepresented groups and list civic engagement programs to enable more diverse student groups to thrive? Lastly, the national and regional networks for university civic engagement. A distinguished strength of this gathering is the presence of many leaders of regional networks that are growing rapidly and building engagement around the world. Let's seize the opportunity to elevate collaboration amongst the regional networks and to map out the next stage in which the Talloires Network collaborates strategically with its regional partners. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the vice-chancellors of 4 Cape Town universities who, through the Cape Higher Education Consortium, are co-hosting this conference. Thank you so much for your and your colleagues' leadership in organizing the meeting. First, may I introduce to the stage Leopoldt von Huyssteen, Interim Vice-Chancellor of Stellenbosch University. Second, Prins Nevhutalu, please come up. Prince Nevhutalu, Vice-Chancellor, Cape Peninsula of Technology. Third, Tyrone Pretorius, Vice-Chancellor, University of Western Cape. And fourth, Max Price, Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town. Please come up and say a few words, and then we'll have the plenary session speaker after that. Thank you. Yeah.
Are you suggesting an order? No, you can. So I am Max Price, President or Vice-Chancellor of the University of Cape Town, and it's a great pleasure to welcome you all. Some of you will no doubt be visiting South Africa for the first time, some Cape Town, and we're very near Stellenbosch, so this is the Western Cape, for the first time, and I hope that you have set aside enough time, if this is your first visit, to extend your stay beyond the conference itself, because it's a beautiful place and it's a beautiful time of the year to be here. Welcome to all of you. It's been a privilege to be part of the 4 universities of the Western Cape Higher Education Consortium that is co-hosting this conference. The conference, of course, takes place, as always, against the background of enormous global challenges, and the challenges are as great as ever. The tensions between simply economic growth for growth's sake and the consequences for equity and inequity, job creation, the youth bulge, and youth unemployment, the key issue, one of the key themes that we'll be discussing in this conference. The tensions between growth and sustainability, the more general issues of environmental change, climate change, and energy, the tensions between cheap energy and renewable energy, often not as cheap. The challenge of infectious diseases, and since you are here in Africa, it would be inappropriate not to remind ourselves of the plague of Ebola, which is cutting a swathe through the West African countries, killing thousands in its wake, but of course comes on top of the biggest pandemic of our time, of the last 2 decades, HIV and AIDS, and its associated diseases, TB and malaria. The challenges of governance and democracy, the challenges we faced of religious intolerance and religious tyrannies that brook no difference of opinion in belief systems or in governance systems. So these are all big challenges of our time, and as in years past, the challenges may be different, but we've always faced them. And in the face of these challenges, universities have a deeply important role to play. It is the one institution, perhaps, the university, that can systematically make itself available for the review and renewal of these debates. Universities are about innovation, about rethinking past received wisdoms, and thinking how to look at the world differently and anew. We deliberately set ourselves up to think about and steer global debate on policy and practice, on development, on the economy, on how we can be a more efficient, more effective, more humane society, and on the great social questions of the day. But this role, which should be so obvious and which is almost uniquely ours, excuse me, this role is not uncomplicated for us, because as all of you know, there are other imperatives on universities too. Our reputations, which for better or worse are strongly influenced by the rankings and ratings, is there hanging over the heads of every university president and vice-chancellor all the time. And that tends to be influenced by a different kind of research and by global citations which tend not to come with engaged scholarship and socially engaged research, and ranking systems which pay no attention and give you no brownie points for community engagement, outreach, and engaged scholarship. We have the challenges and imperatives of increasing access and providing the financial aid that's required to enable people who otherwise could not come to a university to be able to access those facilities. We have the challenge in many developing countries of students who are underprepared from school, and the universities choose not to simply ignore those students, but to invest resources in the necessary educational programs to ensure success, not only access. We have the challenges of the new information and communication technologies and the revolution that is happening in online learning, which tends not to be to dovetail very well with the issues of engaged scholarship and community outreach in the same way. So we face all these imperatives, and hence I think a conference like this and a network like this gains the additional importance, because if I can simply remind you of the Talloires Declaration, one clause of it, higher education institutions exist to serve and strengthen the society of which they are a part. And it is through, as signatories of this declaration and as members of the network, that we can gather strength, that we remind ourselves of those priorities, and that we share our experiences and best practice of how we reprioritize this key role of the universities in the face of these other competing imperatives, which are often competing for resources. So, in conclusion, I hope that the conference will provide new insights into how engagement can enhance the role of universities in promoting inclusive development through this engaged scholarship, and especially how we can, through the one theme of creating incentives within faculty, within the universities, how we can ensure that the incentive systems are aligned so that rather than these tensions being experienced in the university, we have an alignment of all of these imperatives pulling in the same direction. Welcome, and I hope we will have wonderful deliberations and networking. Thank you.
On behalf of Stellenbosch University, it is my privilege to welcome you all to this beautiful region of our country, only a few minutes driving time from where our campus is located. So it's an honor to co-host this conference with the 3 other partners in the Cape Higher Education Consortium. I think it is of great importance that this conference has come to the Global South. The world is changing and Africa is rising. For a long time, North-South collaboration was a norm. Now we are increasingly seeing South-North collaboration extending into South-South-North partnerships. Community engagement as an important field of study and practice will also be enriched by perspectives from the South. Now, Stellenbosch is a proud member of the Talloires Network. Our former rector, the late Professor Russel Botman, was a keen participant in Talloires activities. He was in Bellagio in 2010 and in Madrid in 2011, and was pleased to hear that the 2014 conference will be held in Stellenbosch. I know he was looking forward to attend, but unfortunately, he passed away unexpectedly 5 months ago. This was a great shock to us all and a loss not only to us, but to many people and structures globally, including this network. When Professor Botman became rector of Stellenbosch University, he took the bold step of aligning the university's core activities, our research, our learning and teaching, as well as our community engagement with the international development agenda. He united university behind the goals of eradicating poverty and related conditions, promoting human dignity and health, entrenching democracy and human rights, achieving peace and security, and striking a balance between sustainable environment and a competitive industry. In essence, he got the university to put its proven strengths behind human development. That is what Stellenbosch University's Hope Project is about. Doing world-class research in the first place on local, regional, and African challenges in state-of-the-art facilities with the best expertise available for the sake of the next generation. Today, Professor Botman's dream of an engaged, impactful institution lives in our Vision 2013, which forms part of our international institutional intent and strategy. And I can state clearly that Stellenbosch, me, the board, and even the new rector that was appointed yesterday said that we will continue with this intent and strategy because it's really positioning us for the future. Not to be an ivory tower, but an engaged institution has become part of the DNA of Stellenbosch University. Because of the location of this university and due to the nature of the research contracts that we have with industry, we can really say that at Stellenbosch we do science with the community. As Professor Botman said in Bellagio in 2010, community interaction should not be seen as peripheral to what the university does. It is in fact a key driver of the academic project. The classroom cannot be shut off from the rest of the world. Students should be exposed to the realities of daily life as experienced broadly in society. That will empower them to become engaged citizens and transform lives, which is also the theme of this conference. Ladies and gentlemen, may your deliberations be fruitful, your decisions clear, and most importantly, your actions decisive. In closing, I invite you to enjoy this beautiful region of ours and all it offers. If you need anything, just let us know. Thank you very much.
Good morning. The language that we speak here is Xhosa, and when you greet, you say molweni. Molweni. Yes, it means hello. As a member of the Cape Higher Education Consortium, CHEC, I am really honored to be given this opportunity to express our sincere appreciation to the Talloires Network. It is indeed for our university, CPUT, to be part of this prestigious international conference and to welcome all of you here. The network was always hosted and welcomed at CPUT in the previous conferences. It is our turn to welcome you to South Africa and to Cape Town, our mother city. Our university has a long history with Talloires Network, stretching back to 2005, when our previous Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Marcus Balintulo, submitted then what was Cape Tech pre-conference survey of community engagement, and he subsequently attended the Talloires Network Conference in France. And today, we are so proud to be one of the many universities that signed the Talloires Network Declaration in the 2005 conference. Since then, our university has participated in various network activities, which include, amongst others, the Meg Jennett Prize for Global Citizenship in 2009, which was awarded to CPUT. Professor Nduna was actually wanting me to show you the prize because she's very proud of that. We also participated in the book project that profiles our university community engagement. Again, our university is profiled in the 2001 book titled The Engaged University International Perspectives on Civic Engagement. I'm sure you will find the relevant reference in the book. CPUT's participation in the Talloires Network activities, together with our participation in the South African Higher Education Community Engagement Forum and in CHEC, is an indication of our commitment to this challenge of community engagement, both regionally, nationally, and internationally. It is against this background that we are delighted to be one of the host institutions in Cape Town. At the end of the day, one of the fundamental questions that we continue to grapple with is what kind of disciples do we produce as universities? How do they go out and become agents of change? This continues to engage us all the time. What kind of attributes do our students possess so that they can go out and make a change? Universities are very key and very important institutions. We produce CEOs of companies. We produce ministers. We produce presidents. How do we ensure that wherever they go, Adam, they really become agents of change? It is a question that I think we must grapple with so that at the end of the day, we provide our students with an appropriate training so that they care. At our university, we have defined the kind of student that our students should prioritize people over profit. Because the kind of student that I think we produce ultimately has to make a difference in the community. Our students must be environmentally conscious, so that when you become a CEO of a big mining company, you know that I have to do it with environmental consciousness. Our students must care about people and the communities where they come from. This is the kind of student that we all aim for at CPUT. And we're struggling to define and to provide appropriate curriculum so that our students can go out and become agents of change. Finally, universities, wherever they are, there are communities around them. Perhaps as a start, we should be intolerant of squatter communities around our institutions. We should perhaps start because we have the means through these young people to effect changes. We should be intolerant to poverty. We should be intolerant to abuse. Finally, I hope that you'll enjoy the network and discussions and also take an opportunity to visit some of the sites. Cape Town is very beautiful. Everybody has said that. It's very beautiful. I don't stay next. My office is not very close to the mountain, but Max is. When he walks, he looks at the mountain. I see it from far. I see it from far. And I was told that the new meaning of CA, this number plate that you see, it says, come back again. So whoever is coming from Australia, from Western, from Europe, today is just to introduce you to what we can offer. CA, come back again. Make yourselves available at this beautiful home. Namkelekile, you're welcome. Yele S, welcome. Thank you very much.
I'm the imposter in this group. My name is Tyrone Pretorius, and I'm not yet a Vice-Chancellor. I'm Vice-Chancellor designate of the University of the Western Cape, and that loosely translated means he who gets paid for observing. And it must have dawned on our current Vice-Chancellor that I'm getting paid to observe, because a few weeks ago he said, I think you need to represent the university at this conference. I've been at the university for a couple of months, and in both its mission statement as well as its operational plan, it describes itself as an engaged university. And I must say, in the short space of time that I've been at UWC, I've been struck really with how everyone in the institution, from the leadership right down to the department, grapples with what it means to be an engaged university in a developing context, grapples with the issues around scholarship in and scholarship of engagement, and then also grapples with the tensions between the three mandates of a university: research, teaching and learning, and community engagement. For a university like the University of Western Cape, given its history and its location, engagement is a crucial part of its identity. And it has accepted that identity. So I'd like to, on behalf of the University of Western Cape, extend a warm welcome to all our international, national, and regional partners to Cape Town and to the Western Province. We hope that during this conference, we can share some of the experiences that we've gained in being an engaged university, and at the same time learn from you how you have dealt with similar challenges in your own institutions. So welcome and enjoy the rest of your conference.
Ladies and gentlemen, before we step down, I do want to ask the CEO of the Cape Higher Education Consortium, Ms. Nazima Badsha, just to stand up so that we can thank you, because this is the person who's done all the work on behalf of the 4 co-hosts, and we've just been there to take some of the credit. So Nazima, please just stand up so everyone can know who's really done it all.
Now to share with you a brief video tribute to our extraordinary champion of university engagement, Professor Russel Botman.
Antony in Kayamandi in Stellenbosch. This is the place with the most beautiful view on Stellenbosch and its most beautiful mountains. But it's also the place where people suffer the most, struggle the most to make the survival, but also where children struggle to find their future and a better life. And we have Gondela here, who is an important leader in this project, one of our students, and they will continue to roll out the provision of electricity, mostly solar electricity, to the community. We all know that a better world can only be done when there is true great science behind it. And we can do it through promoting understanding, through encouraging shared values, through generating the knowledge required to improve the quality of life in all societies. If we manage to do that, we would have turned people who are in despair to begin to feel the reality of hope. I use the word hope quite deliberately. Now, there are very many people who misunderstand me when I use it. They think I'm using it as a theological term. I use it as a secular term. A secular term that has to do with people feeling that there is a future, that there is a future that is better than their present and better than their past. And the role of education in creating that feeling, in creating that opportunities, in creating that space of a better future is significant. So it's not the kind of empty optimism. It's also not the kind of things that you just have to believe and hope for, but it is about the strength and the power of education, the strength and the power of the sciences to create a future that is better than today. In this way, hope becomes a radical concept, radical because it wants to transform life, not accept it as it is. That is our historic mission, to change the world through knowledge. Universities produce knowledge for the public good through research addressing urgent needs and questions, and by delivering graduates able to participate fully in the global knowledge economy. While progress has been encouraging in some areas around us in Southern Africa, millions of our fellow human beings still lag behind on crucial indicators. A person can almost say that if you use Mandela's thoughts about freedom, he said, it's a long road to freedom, but one could also say there's a long road to development. It is taking much longer than we thought, and it is harder than we thought, but it is still an important future to work for. And universities have a vital role in this development agenda. And there's a traditional African saying that goes like this: if you want to walk fast, walk alone. If you want to walk far, walk together.